Alright, you guys are ready for this shit? Alright. This is the best list. I mean, look at the clown. The clown is the best killer, obviously. And, Legion is just really good. He can just down you. And and, and there's no counterplay because he bolts pallets. And Myers top tier because, he's top tier. And Spirit, people just run and down, Hillbilly. Hillbilly, well, he's Hillbilly, so I had to put him high. And Leatherface has a chainsaw, so I guess he's as good as Hillbilly, you know? So he's probably as good as Hillbilly just because he has a chainsaw. That makes sense to me. Huntress, well, a lot of people say Huntress is good, so I decided to put it this high. Trapper, well, um, um, he, he, he Doctor is actually, a pretty strong killer, I think. Well, I decided to put him with the nurse because, it's the medical staff, so it makes sense to me that they are in the same tier. Um, Big, well, most people think Big is bad, so I decided to put her low. Hag has to be C tier. Like, I don't have a D tier, so I was a bit generous with the Hag. I decided to put her C just because, random shit. Um, Rate is bad. And Freddy, because it's Freddy. Yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. That was the best tier list in the entire game. Like, share, subscribe. Okay, that that was just terrible. Okay. No, this is not the real tier list. You got pranked. So now we're gonna talk about the real tier list. I just wanted to make a little joke right off the bat, so we can start this pretty chill. I'm gonna talk about the tiers first, so you know what each tier actually means. So there's the S rank is actually just the top tier. What I mean by top tier is a killer that can actually, do shit in every single situation. Like, you get a map, and with specific survivors on a specific loadout, the killer can actually do something. You're not completely screwed from the get-go. There's a S plus, just because I think one specific killer is above the other two, because I'm gonna put 3 killers in top tier, and S plus is just the best of the 3. I just can't see this killer being in the same tier as the other 2. That's basically it. Same tier. Same thing applies to the A tier. The A tier is more like the high middle tier. The high mid tier, these killers are pretty good. In most cases, they can perform very well, especially if you're, good at the game. It's just that they have a bit more weaknesses. Like the S rank killers have like 1 or 2 weaknesses. The A killers have more than 2, in my eyes at least. And there's a A plus because I think one killer is above the others. Like, from left to right, the killers I place them above the others, but when I place a killer in a tier above by itself, it's basically because I don't think there's much discussion. I just think the killer is way better. While if the killer is in the same tier as the other, I can see them swap around, It's not that big of a deal. Sorry. The B tier is, it's the lower mid tier. Those killers are not bad. They're just a bit weaker than the 8 killers, They're not as good. And for a couple of reasons. We'll get to that when we get to the B killers. C tier, again, weaker. Low tier, they're just underperforming. I think these killers are not that good. Like the B tier killers are not bad, but the C tier it's starting to get a bit bad. And F, I just decided to straight up go for F instead of adding a D tier because these killers are horrible. Like there are 3 killers in this tier and they're just so fucking garbage. They need a complete rework, like basically. So we'll get to that in the end because we're gonna start with from the top because sorry, because it's actually pretty obvious that the nurse is the best killer. Like, do I really have to say? I mean, she has extreme map pressure. Her mobility is insane. She has a very high skill cap, which is something I actually think is very important in this game because a killer with a high skill cap means more players can actually do more shit with this killer, meaning that the killer will improve, develop new tactics, and be stronger than the killers with lower skill caps. If a killer has a low skill cap, um, like you don't have much to do with the power, you just do what you're supposed to do. I think the killer gets pretty repetitive and predictable, and I think that's actually making a killer weaker than the others. While the nurse, having a high skill cap, is just completely insane. Like, even without add-ons, she's insane. With add-ons, she becomes pretty much broken. Like, I think the nurse is fine, but I think her add-ons are a bit broken. Like, 4 Blinks is definitely overpowered. Omega Blinks is overpowered. Even, Anxious Gasp is kind of overpowered. And she just ignores the mechanics of the game. She just goes through pallets, through windows, through walls. She's insane. Everyone pretty much puts her at the top, except maybe console players. But I play on PC, so sorry console players. In my eyes, the nurse is just the best killer. There's absolutely no discussion here. The nurse is the best. I don't think anyone's gonna frame me or say, "Oh, you put nurse at the best, you're a noob." I don't think anyone's gonna really complain about this spot. Moving on, number 2 is not the Hillbilly, it's the Hag. I decided to put the Hag above the Hillbilly because of her skill cap. Basically, the Hag has, in my eyes, the highest skill cap in the game because there's so many possibilities here. Let me explain. You place a trap, and in a specific spot, it does something for you. But it does not just one thing, it can do multiple things. This trap can be used for tracking. This trap can also be used for chase, mind games, and depending on which side the survivor is going to come, you're gonna either, instant teleport hit, or you're gonna do a mind game of sorts, or even a can swing. If you don't know what the can swing is, it's basically when a trap pops, the camera of the survivor forces them to look at the phantasm, and they kind of get confused and mess up like that. Um, if you think it's kind of weird, but it's actually a thing, and it's a feature, it's not a bug, like a lot of people think. Like people say, oh, you use a bug. No, it's not a bug. It's actually a feature. So basically, because of our skill cap getting bigger and bigger, every map that gets released, the hack can just only get better over time. Um, like maybe right now people will say Hillbilly is better, but I can only see the hack getting better and better and better than the Hillbilly. Um, she has a very, very strong map control. Whenever she puts a trap, that placement is locked. If survivors go there, they're fucked, no matter what. Like, oh, they can use urban evasion, yeah, but the thing is, they won't really know a trap is there. And if they use urban evasion, it's only good for stealth, because, let's face it, who's gonna crouch in a chase? If you crouch in a chase, she's gonna just catch up to you. The only time you can actually crouch in a chase is if you bolt something, crouch, and urban evasion away, but it doesn't work every time. There are setups that it won't work. And basically, how big the trigger range is, you really need to crouch for a long time, which is why hack players place a trap under the hook, because it slows the save down. It just gives the hack player more time overall. That's the only reason people do it most of the time. Also to punish stupid saves, like, people that just run, trigger the trap, go for the hunt hook, and get grabbed. Those are just bad players, but it's also why it's used. Um, the hack also can multitask. Now, multitasking is a thing in this game that basically it makes the killer able to occupy multiple survivors at once, put pressure on multiple places at the same time. So the hag is the only killer in the game that can chase multiple survivors at once. Basically, what I mean by that is that you have a trap that gets triggered, you start a chase from that trap, you get a hit, someone else triggers a trap, you teleport to them, go for another hit. Now, the survivors that you hit for like right away may not notice that you're gone and trigger another trap. And now you go back to them, down them, the other one does the same thing, and you get 2 downs. So basically, in this situation, you kind of chase both of them at the same time, and now you got 2 downs, which is very insane. It's a great map pressure. I think the Hag has the best map pressure in the game. The thing is that, she needs to set up. That's her main downfall. And that's pretty much the only reason I give the edge to the nurse. Because the Hag has to set up. She doesn't have this whole crazy things by default. She needs to place the traps. She needs to waste a couple 30 seconds in the start of the match just placing a couple traps just to make sure everything's gonna be all right. Um, you know, because she's the least map dependent killer. Even the nurse has more maps she struggles. Like the nurse struggles on Larry's, she struggles on corn maps. She kind of struggles on Haddonfield as well. While the hag only struggles on corn maps, like, and maybe a bit of the asylum. The asylum is kind of hard for the hag. Um, Other than that, the hag is just really, really fucking good. I don't know what to say. Like, she has insane map pressure. Her basement game is also really good. Even though, it's not a huge thing, I still think it's pretty good to note that because you can gain a lot of snowball from the basement if you are a strong killer in the basement. And I think 3 specific killers fit this category to be very strong in a basement. And the hag is definitely one of them. She's pretty much strong at everything, but yeah, she needs to set up. And, and people that just, complain about her movement speed, it really doesn't matter. You place traps, you teleport everywhere. You're not going to suffer from your movement speed like 90% of the time. It's not a big deal. Flashlights, that's cute. You're gonna try to find my traps with your flashlight. Good luck wasting your batteries everywhere. And really, I can just place the traps again. And if you mess up and trigger the trap, you're going down, bitch. So, yeah. I don't think I think people that just underrate the hag just don't know how to play her or never faced a good hag ever. And I'm pretty glad that a lot of people are starting to place her really high on their list because she really is that good. She deserves that spot. Moving on, Hillbilly, of course. Hillbilly is probably the killer I have the least to say about. He's just really good. He has insane map pressure. He has a one shot. He just goes really fast on the map. Great mobility. Great snowball potential. Uh, he's a very simple killer to use, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good because it's really easy to pick up the Hillbilly. It's really just a safe killer. Like any starting killer in the game, I generally just tell them, just play Hillbilly. He's a simple killer, he's strong, you get the basics of the game, he's really good. So, but the thing about the Hillbilly is that I don't think he has a high skill cap. Now, sure, he has the, the flick when he starts the chainsaw, but like he just turns around at 90 degrees. You can do that on some loops. It's pretty good, but I think that's the only trick you can do with the chainsaw because other than that, it's just really predictable. You just go fast on the map, down people, go fast, break pallets, go back. You just, zoom around the map all the time with him. It's pretty predictable, and because he has a lower skill cap, I did place her lower than the Hag. Like I said, this is debatable because they're in the same tier after all. So, depending on your arguments, one can be above the others. I just think the Hag's better. But yeah, and the Hillbilly has better add-ons than the Hag. So if you include add-ons in your list, which I don't, and so except the brown ones for a couple killers, because I think that's not fair to not include them for those killers, because you can just equip brown add-ons every game because they're so common in your blood web. It's really cheap, so it's really easy to come by. I think the Hillbilly definitely has better add-ons than the Hag. The Hag has pretty much the worst roster add-ons in the game because our purples and pinks are just terrible, except maybe Rusty Shackles that are decent, I guess. Like, our best add-ons are green, which are the Dry Cicada and Cracked Turtle Egg, if you didn't know. But other than that, yeah. So that's the Hillbilly. Not much to say about him. I think we're gonna move on to the A plus killer, which is very interesting, and it's something my Discord community actually really want to see. You guys ready? I teased you a lot with this A plus killer because it's actually really surprising for me to put this killer this high. But it's the Huntress. And the reason why the Huntress is fourth compared to preferred, because if you guys didn't know, I'd made a lot of tier lists before this video, and before the Huntress was B. She wasn't, bad on the list, but she was definitely lower than this. So having the Huntress at fourth now is kind of crazy. Sorry. So the Huntress has a very high skill cap, definitely one of the highest in the game. Like, our hatchets, you have to aim, sure, but you need to know every single hitbox in the game, which is kind of insane. You need to visualize the survivor's hitbox in your head and throw the hatchet at them. It's kind of crazy. Looping a Huntress, now that's a thing that a lot of people actually complain about the Huntress, is that she gets looped, which is true. She can get looped in, big juggle gym walls and all, but the thing is that the Huntress will get you. That's a thing that a lot of people don't really realize. Yes, she's gonna waste time looping against you, but the Huntress is gonna probably hit you at the end of the loop. Because a good Huntress, like, most Huntress would just raise the hatchet and wait for the drop, but the survivors just continues to loop so they get fucked. But a good Huntress may not do that. A good Huntress can just continue to chase and just hem-one you. Just because you fell for the mind game, thinking that she was going to raise her hatchet up. These kind of mind games puts her higher, which means because your skill in the game matters at this point, which is a great thing. And this definitely makes her seem like a better killer. Also, the Huntress, a lot of people say the Huntress doesn't have a good map compression, which is not that true. Actually, the Huntress can just throw a hatchet at just someone random on the map. She knows someone is there. She can just try to get a hatchet hit, and good Huntress will probably get that hit, which makes it so that the survivor has to heal, or actually, the survivor might panic and try to hide because they think the Huntress is gonna get to them. Also, her humming. Her humming, it's really easy to hide from, but it's a double-edged sword. As you can see with the humming, survivors hide from further away, which means you waste time of survivors in your homing radius. Also, while you are in a chase, you don't have the humming, which means your terror radius is reduced to 20 meters, which makes it very easy to sneak up on people on gens. So if you are chasing someone, but you don't really are going to chase them, um, that doesn't mean you're gonna go and get the down. I pressed the button by accident, so yeah, you can see the next killer we're gonna talk about is the pig. So sorry about that. um, so I'm just gonna finish up the Huntress. I'm almost done. Um, the thing about the Huntress is that she just really has that skill cap. A lot of people underestimate that skill cap. I think like a lot of people place her high, but I think these people are the people that actually know how to fucking play the Huntress, you know? So if you know how to play her, she's good. She's definitely really, really strong. Not top tier, because Huntress is not top tier. I'm sorry, but she has a big gap between S and A. But she's definitely strong. I definitely respect Huntress players. They have to work a lot to make her, decent and play rail. But I think it's worth it. I think she's really strong. So moving on to the A killers. As you can see, it's the pig that is on the top. Sorry, I think I got the cold. Um, pig, pig is you know, is a pretty underrated killer. In my opinion, she's one of the most underrated killers in the game because her stealth is the best stealth in the game. Basically, let's look at the couple stealth killers we have in this game. We have Michael Myers, which has a very small terror radius, but Michael Myers is pretty tall and also breathes very heavily. He does like this kind of breathing. So it's really actually easy to spot him. There are a lot of times I actually heard Michael coming before seeing him. So, and the pig, when she's crouched, she also has a breathing, but her breathing is much harder to notice. She's more like, it's kind of harder to notice. Also, she's much smaller when she crouches. She's much harder to notice. Sure, she's slower, but she's really, really hard to see. And really hard to see coming. Good pigs will come sneak up on you. And will good pigs ambush you? No. The good pigs will actually just uncrouch and try to grab you off the jam. Now, if you didn't notice them fast enough, they're gonna at least have a hit. If you just stop holding the gem at the right time, you're gonna get hit. So that's a very easy hit right there. Now she can just, stealth again to get you, or she can just start the chase. Now people would just say, okay, well, pig is actually a loopable killer. Yeah, but the pig does have the ambush tactic. The ambush is not completely useless because you don't actually use the ambush to ambush. You use it in a chase as a mind game. So basically you can just, control the palette, hold your ambush by looking at one way, you turn around the other way and slap them. Now, if the survivor is experienced and actually knows you do that stuff, you can also just, crouch, face one way, start the ambush, and ambush the same way you're looking. So they're like, oh, she didn't turn around, and they get, hit. You can also crouch and uncrouch. So the survivor sees crouch, they're like, oh fuck, she's gonna ambush, so they just run away. But you just uncrouch and boom, they left the loop. And now you get a hit. So the pig has a lot of mind games. She's one of the biggest mind game killers in the game. I think she might actually be the highest mind games. It depends if you think the spirit has better mind games. But the pig does have insane amount of mind games. She's really strong at that. Also, I didn't even talk about her reverse bear traps, which are the tool most people seem to defend on her. I don't think that's the strongest tool of the pig. I think the ambushes and the stealth, but the reverse bear traps are still a nice tool to have. They slow the game down, which is something every killer wants. Um, the pig also has a very good chance to get you down. If she gets a reverse bear trap on you at the end of the game, you're kind of fucked because you can't exit out the exit gates. Now, sure, people can just leave and you can get the trapdoor, but if the pig finds the trapdoor, you're screwed. She's gonna just do the hatch standoff and you're gonna die from the reverse bear trap. So you're gonna need to find a box. But the thing is, the pig can just, grab you off the box. The pig really has a lot going on for her. She has a great skill cap. She's very strong. Um, very underrated killer. There's not a lot of good pigs out there, and I think that's why people seem to underrate her. But the pig is definitely a strong killer. She's not amazing, but she's really good. Next up is Michael Myers, another stealth killer. He's pretty darn close to the pig. It's except that Michael Myers doesn't have the exact same setup as the pig. Sure, he has the stealth, but Michael is more about the snowball. You see, Michael has the stealth, not the stealth, the stalk mechanic, where he stalks you. Um, Michael can actually use that to get the evil within 3. Now, the tier 3 is actually a very good tool to snowball. You use that tool to, down someone, but with the tier 3, what you're gonna try to do is try to have multiple peoples, you know where they are, so you can get the chase on them and down multiple peoples with your same tier 3. Don't use the tier 3 just to down one person, that's a complete waste. You want to use that tier 3 to get multiple downs and get a lot of map pressure. That's how he slows the game down, that's how he gets kills, that's how strong he can be. Now, Michael has more weaknesses than the pig, in my opinion, because he gets looped more than the pig. The pig can at least try to mind game. Michael doesn't really have many mind games. All he has is a one shot. Michael volts faster, which is good, but I don't think in most cases it's going to matter. It matters more if you have bamboozle on the shack, I guess, but it doesn't matter in most cases because the volt speed he has is not as big as people think it is. It's a good tool, yes, but it's not that amazing. Michael's is really about the stealth and the tier 3. The thing is that Michael has like the pig, has a very bad mobility because he doesn't really move on faster. He also starts off very slow. Sure, he can use that startup to try to get a grab on a gen, but most survivors won't actually fall for that. And you can also hear his breathing before he comes find you, which can ruin the stealth mechanic. Still, Michael is a good killer. He's pretty strong, but I don't think he's top or really the highest of the mid tier. He's good. He's a good killer. He has great potential. Shout outs to Michael players out there. We're gonna move on to the last killer in the A tier, which is another killer that made a big jump, which is a spirit. Okay, so the spirit is something very complicated. Basically, the spirit is pretty much the worst killer to rank. She's extremely hard to rank because without add-ons, the spirit is pretty bad. But with add-ons, she's as strong as the hag, if not the nurse. It's kinda crazy how strong she gets if you include, the purple add-ons. The prayer beads make her completely overpowered. It's ridiculous. You can just grab people off gens. But I don't include said add-ons. That being said, saying that the spirit is complete garbage without add-ons is kind of wrong. The spirit does have mind games, and the spirit also has a way to move around the map faster. So that being said, those are great tools in themselves. Sure, she moves slower, but unlike, other killers, she can actually move faster on the map and get a hit straight off, just like the nurse. So the spirit is actually a pretty strong killer. Also, her skill cap is insane. Having a high skill cap just means the spirit can only get higher as time goes on. You know, I think the pig and Mars have a high skill cap, but spirit has definitely a higher skill cap than them, which can only mean that the spirit could get higher later on. But I think being the bottom of the A tier made more sense for now because of how big of a jump that was. She used to be C tier, in my list because I just only include brown add-ons. And without add-ons, I think the spirit is kind of lacking. She has a slow startup. Her movement speed is pretty high, but it's not that high. Uh, she has a very, very annoying cooldown on her power. Um, you know, she's just not quite up there. But I think brown add-ons are better than I thought, and she's not that bad without add-ons. So I'm ready to put her on the bottom of the A just because of her skill cap. I was gonna put her B, like top of B, but I think her skill cap really should be something that we praise about her. So that's gonna be it for the spirit. Let's move on to the B tier. Now the B tier killers, just want to say before revealing the two B tier killers, because there are only two killers in this tier, I want it to be clear that these killers are not bad. Like, none of them are bad. And I think a lot of people think they're bad, but they are not bad. They're actually pretty darn good if you know what you're doing. One of them is the Wraith. I think the Wraith is a very underrated killer. He's, in my eyes, the second most underrated killer in the game because a lot of people think the Wraith is trash. A lot of people are like, oh, it's Wraith and then it's Freddy because these two are really bad. And I'm like, no, no. Wraith is actually a pretty strong killer because the Wraith has a great movement speed in the stealth. He can actually move around the map faster. He has also the stealth, which means the survivors won't see him coming. Sure, he has the bell factor, but he has the movement speed to back it up. Also, with the new brown and yellow add-ons he can actually use the bell as a mind game, kind of. He can make it so that it's map wide, so people don't know if he's here or he's not here. He can use the ghost to kind of have a stealth once he comes up of invisibility. He can use he can see the blood with the Huntress hat on. He has a pretty good things. Like, he has pretty cool stuff now. I think the Wraith is a very underrated killer because, he can also body block in the chase. That's something a lot of people don't actually do. You can just go in front of the survivors, body block the place they want to go, uncloak, and hit them. And you can actually go around them just because you move so fast while you're cloaked, especially with add-ons, the Windstorm add-ons. That being said, I used to place the Wraith in A tier because I thought the Wraith was really fucking good. I still think the Wraith is good, but the problem with the Wraith is really the skill cap. The Wraith is a very simple killer. There's not a lot you can do with him. He has the body block, sure, which is pretty much his skill cap, but other than that, everyone knows how to play the Wraith. You just cloak, move around the map, find someone, uncloak, hit them, cloak, go see, catch up to them, uncloak, hit them. It's pretty simple stuff, because it doesn't really have much in chase except for the body block thing I just talked about many times already. And he's not the actual, he's not that big of a deal. But I think the Wraith is definitely a very underrated killer. He's pretty much like a mini Hillbilly because he moves the map fast like the Hillbilly. He's hard to hide from because he comes really fast, and the Wraith is also stealth, just like the Hillbilly. He's also loopable like the Hillbilly, sadly, but the Wraith is just weaker than the Hillbilly overall. He also doesn't have a one-shot, which is, it's not the end of the world, but it's still kind of a big deal. Sure, you can use perks like Maker Choice, or Devour Hope, or Noed, but yeah, those are perks that everyone can use. So if you include perks, every killer has perks. Sure, they don't have all the same perk potential. That being said, because some killers can use more perks than others. Like, they have a bigger perk pool. I call that a perk pool, by the way. Those are the perks that are good on a specific killer. The bigger the perk pool, the more unpredictable you are, and the more potential you have, the more builds you can have. That's something that the next killer is gonna have. I just wanted to make it clear. The raid has that, but it's not as big as the next killer. You ready for this shit? Because the next killer is gonna blow your mind. A lot of people are gonna say, what the fuck? What are you doing? Because Freddy is B tier. What is Freddy doing there? Now, Freddy, I'm ready for this shit, alright? Freddy is the most underrated killer in the game. I said it. He is extremely underrated. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Freddy. He's not bad. Actually, he's actually pretty good if you know how to play him. That being said, yes, he has weaknesses, but that doesn't mean Freddy is horrible. Because I think a lot of people get stumped over the fact that so many people say, oh, Freddy's the worst killer. He's just an M1 killer that needs to wait 7 seconds before he can hit someone. He's bad. He sees nothing because of the fog. He doesn't have any mobility. He gets looped. He gets laughed at. You can unhook in his face. A lot of people just say, oh, that's why he's bad. He's terrible. So people are like, okay, he's terrible. I'm just not gonna play him. All right. And a lot of people actually just don't play Freddy. Guys, try to play Freddy. Because what I'm gonna say to you is something that is pretty big. Freddy has the best stall in the game. What do I mean by stall is actually the fact that he can slow the game down. Freddy is the killer that counters Gen Rush the best. And that's a big deal because Gen Rush is the meta. A lot of people, survivors can just go on gens and do them as fast as possible. Sure, it's survivors doing the objectives. I don't really mind that. It's just that it's a thing. It's a thing that really hurts killers. So you need something to counter that. You need map control, you need map pressure. Freddy has a stall mechanic. Sure. So you can see that for the sleep mechanic, you know. When a survivor is asleep, he can't really do shit because his action speed is reduced by half, which is huge, by the way. And that means that survivor has to waste his time trying to get a skill check. Sure, he can get that skill check instantly if they're lucky, but when they get that skill check, they need to miss the skill check. If they miss the skill check on a gem, that regresses the gem. And also alerts Freddy. So Freddy can just put you back to sleep. You have to regress the gem again, put you back to sleep. It can do that. Now you're gonna say, oh, but if Freddy just stays there and puts you to sleep, he's not gonna sleep anyone, and everyone else is gonna do gens. You are right. That is why Freddy is gonna put you to sleep, go find someone else, put them to sleep, go back to you, hit you, put back to sleep. He's gonna just, back and forth on the map. A good Freddy is gonna keep at least 2 people all the time in the dream world. He's not actually gonna commit to chase most of the time. Like, really, it's very rare that a good Freddy is going to actively chase you just to get you down. Freddy can just stall, sleep, and he can hit you, and then he's gonna down you. Now, once you're down, Freddy doesn't really necessarily have to pick you up. He can just go ahead and sleep someone else, and sleep another one, and just then hook you, because he knows where you are. He just has the horror reading. If someone actually goes healing you or is busy sleeping people, well, good for you. It's actually good for him because he can now sleep that person that is actually healing you. It's another person not doing anything until they get a skill check. This is absolutely massive. Freddy has also, the whole horror reading thing. He has a lot of information. Basically, when someone is asleep, Freddy knows everything they're doing. So if they're doing something Freddy doesn't want them to do, he can actually go ahead and stop them. Even if they wake up on the way, you can just sleep them. Because how are you going to stealth Freddy? You can't see him. Sure, you can hear him, but you're not going to see him. So you don't know where Freddy's currently looking. So you can't really go around objects, urban evading everywhere. Freddy's gonna find you. He's gonna sleep you, and you're gonna get fucked. Something also I have to say about the 7 seconds is that a lot of people actually don't know, but you can actually mind game the 7 seconds. Freddy comes back and forth into existence. So, he sleeps you, you see them, but then he goes away and then appears again and then he goes away. He kind of alternates this. He can actually manipulate where he is because these are specific times. They are not random. A good Freddy will know when they're visible and when they're not because they're gonna count on their head. And they're gonna use that to their advantage to get a very easy free hit on you. So the 7 seconds actually are being used to get a hit on you. They're not something that hinders Freddy. He uses them to get an easy free hit, which is pretty big in a chase. Also, he can just hit you, so now you need to heal and wake up as well. So you're gonna try to get a healing skill check with self-care. Okay, just heal. Now you're gonna say, okay, well, I can just find someone else. And when they wake me up, Freddy's not gonna know where we are with a sound effect. Sure, but Freddy, when you have a great map awareness, you're gonna see that person getting waked up. That means you just reveal to Freddy where someone else is. You're gonna go both to sleep now, which is very, very unfortunate. Really, it's gonna help Freddy a lot, getting two people's right that easy sleep. Um, Freddy, like I said, I talked about purple. Freddy has the best purple in the game. He can use so many perks. Like, there's so many perks that are good on Freddy. Barbecue's good on Freddy. Rancor's good on Freddy. Nurse's Calling is good on Freddy. Enduring is good on Freddy. Spirit Fury. Bamboozle. Sloppy Butcher. Brutal Strength's pretty good on Freddy. Remember Me. Save the best for last. Dying Light can be good with the black box. Freddy can use what else can he use? I had something else. Oh yeah, Knockout. Freddy can use Knockout pretty effectively. Freddy can use totems. Totems. Yeah, sure, he can't really stop totems, but because of the 7 seconds. But Freddy can still have a Devour Hook hidden somewhere, and if he's lucky enough, he can get some downs with it. Third Seal. If Freddy actually starts slugging people with Third Seal, it can be terrifying if you can find the totem. Also, Freddy knowing a lot of things going on the map, he's gonna know if people are close to his totem, so he can actually kind of pull them away from it. Something else that Freddy can do that is pretty big is actually knowing where everyone is at all time, so he can actually stop the person that is the most dangerous right now. The person doing the gens, the gen jockey. Freddy can just go sleep him, and he's like, okay, this guy does gens. I have to keep him on sleep. This guy just runs around the map and tries to loop me. I can just put him to sleep and just leave him be because he's not going to do gens. I'm gonna have to chase the gen jockey because that guy is actually doing gens. So Freddy can use that as an information to make the best decision possible. I mean, the great information he has, he can make the best decision that any killer could have made. No other killers could have made this decision better than Freddy. Now we know the weaknesses of Freddy. I already mentioned some of them, like the fact that Freddy doesn't have any good mobility because he has to move around, he gets looped, even though that Freddy is pretty short, so he's pretty easy to mind game with him. Also with the fog that is kind of hard to see. So, Freddy has some mind games, but he's not, he's still loopable. So he has a couple weaknesses that holds him back, but as you can see, there's a lot of positive about Freddy. Try Freddy, guys. Just don't do what 99 of the Freddys I've seen do. Like, sleep someone and chase them. No, don't do that. Sleep them, sleep another guy, get as many people as you can sleep. Just chase them periodically. Just do hit and run tactics. Just try new things on Freddy. Freddy is a pretty unique killer. He's really fun when you play him right. Just try him, guys. He's not bad. I'm telling you, just trust me. And if you need help on Freddy, I can find you help. I know people that are good on Freddy. So moving on from Freddy, which was pretty much one of the biggest killers on this list. Like Huntress, Freddy, and another killer on the list. Those are the three killers I want to talk about the most. So we've talked about the Huntress and Freddy. So we're gonna go to the C tier with two killers I have little to say about, like the Doctor. The Doctor is currently pretty bad. To be honest, yes, he has the chalk that can, cut the loops and just prevent them from dropping pallets. But most of the time, the Doctor just slows himself down by doing the shock, which means he's not going to catch up anyway. So the shock does stop a couple loops, but not all of them. That means Doctor's loopable, and because he's very tall, unlike Freddy, he won't be able to mind game as easily. Doctor also only really has a good tracking, but now there's Calm Spirit. So Calm Spirit can actually counter the Doctor's tracking, which kinda hurts him. So there's not a lot of things going on for the Doctor. Also, they remove Nurse's Colony from snapping on of it, which also hurts the Doctor again. I don't think the Doctor's really that good. Also, his stall is pretty much not as good as Freddy because he needs to shock them multiple times in order to get them to -3. And even then, they don't waste as much time as the Dream thing with Freddy. Freddy just has a better stall than the Doctor. The reason why Doctor is C is actually just because Freddy outclasses him. I legit think Freddy is a better Doctor. Doctor has a better, chase in bigger buildings because he can actually stop them with the shock. But it's not that great. And, Doctor doesn't have a lot. It's kind of sad because he used to be good, but now he's kind of lacking. He has been nerfed a bit. Like, he's not what he used to be. He's back being pretty bad again, which is a shame. There's not much to say about the Doctor. He's just pretty bad. Um, he's just, an M1 killer that can stall and sometimes stop a loop. It's a very situational killer. That's what I'm trying to say. He's kind of like I can do this sometimes, and I can do that other times, but I cannot do that all the time. It's quite a big deal. I mean, he has a skill cap with the shock thing, with the timing. It's there. I just don't think it's up there. So yeah, that's the Doctor for you. Now the next killer, I consider the next killer to be F tier, but I think he's not as bad as the other three F tier killers. I think Leatherface is better than the other three. Now Leatherface is not really a good killer. I'm gonna start off right off the bat. Right off the bat, he's pretty bad. Like the Doctor, he is lacking. Leatherface is it's kind of like the Doctor with the situational effect, like he can get a one shot sometimes, but not all the time. Except that now it's even more rare. Like the Doctor can get some loops, Leatherface would get a down like very rarely with the chainsaw. Like he needs to have no pallets around. He needs to have destroyed a lot of pallets already. Leatherface needs to have already the chainsaw rev to just destroy the pallet quickly, which is a thing people are like defending on him, like saying, oh, he can destroy pallets quicker. Well, yes, but the chainsaw needs to already be revved up, which means the survivor could have just, looped her again, so it's just a survivor mistake at this point. Sure, Leatherface is the best camping game in the game, I guess. I mean, the Huntress is kind of better than him. The basement. Leatherface is strong in the basement, but I think the Huntress and the Hag are better than him because the Huntress can just throw at it hatchets and him one them. The Hag can just trap upstairs, trap downstairs, and now they're completely screwed because if they run out, they're gonna get fucked. If they crouch, they're gonna get fucked. If they rush down the stairs, they're gonna get fucked. So, but Leatherface all he has really is a insta down and multiple people insta down, but To down multiple peoples with one chainsaw sprint, it's gonna have to have really, really bad survivors. Also, you're not going to get multiple survivors in the basement because they can just jump in lockers, and now you just get one, only one killer, or only one survivor, sorry. You only get one survivor if they jump in lockers. So, yeah, Leatherface is pretty bad. I just don't think he's horrible like the F tier because Leatherface, when you get rid of the pallets in some areas on the map, you can actually get some downs because if you have absolutely nowhere to go, you're gonna get instant down, which is a pretty big deal, I guess. Leatherface is not really good, but he's not that bad. That's what I'm trying to say. He's bad, but he's not a bottom three killer. He used to be, but we got Legion. I don't think Legion is the worst killer in the game. I used to say he was the worst killer in the game, but we just, things a bit changed. I had the multitasking thing that Hag, Freddy, and kinda the pig have, but Legion has the multitasking because Legion can actually, start a frenzy, hit you. Now he knows where someone else is. He can hit them as well. So he can apply the deep one to multiple survivors. So he has kind of the multitasking thing. That being said, Legion is very bad. Like Legion has either to chase you at 110 movement speed with nothing else, or the better thing you can do is chase you and hit you 4 times in frenzy. Now the thing is, it wouldn't be so bad if he only had to swipe, but the thing is that Legion has to have a fatigue and a cooldown, which means, Legion is the fastest down you're gonna get as a Legion. You find them, you go in frenzy, you hit them. Now you hit them again because, you can still hit them. But now you get the fatigue, and now you have the cooldown of the power, so you're gonna have to wait a lot. The survivors just during this time going to loop you, whatever, and then you're like, okay, power is back. So let's go for another hit. Frenzy, hit, fatigue, again, another cooldown. So now you're gonna go, oh, go, another chase. Boom, you're down then. Bravo. Now people just did 3 gens because, so all the survivors were gen rushing you. So Legion gen rushes the crap out of you, which is a thing I don't, no, survivors gen rushes Legion. As Legion, you're gonna get gen rushed by survivors. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm kind of tired. Um, so what can you do? Well, you can actually try to stall the game by hitting them, but the thing is they have to be in your terror radius for you to know where they are, and they can still run away. If they are sprint bursts, you might not get the hit on them, so you're gonna go into fatigue because the duration is shit, so you're gonna go to fatigue, cool down, try to hit them again. It's kinda bad, really. The Legion sure doesn't have a lot of counterplay in chase because he can just vault everything. But because he needs to hit you 4 times, I'm not counting Frank's mistape because it's a purple add-on. Like, come on, it's like counting prayer beads on the spirit or 4 blinks on the nurse. It doesn't count, alright? Or Tombstone Myers, Or Class Photo Freddy. Class Photo Freddy will be, almost top tier because it's insane. So Legion doesn't have a lot going for them. Like, you just hit them again. Fatigue, it's kind of long. It takes a while. And the stall is not that good. The chase is not that good. The mobility is not that good because you have a cooldown and a shit duration. The add-ons, the brown ones are not that good. Yeah, they're pretty bad. That's all I have to say about Legion. They're bad. Like, they need a rework, a complete rework, because if they buff them into making them really, really strong, I don't think that's gonna be really that good because they're not fun to versus because you can't do anything. They have almost no counterplay. They have a little bit of counterplay, Like, you can try to, lose them in Modern Frenzy because you don't see scratch marks, but it's not that reliable, and good legions will still find you. It's not that big of a counterplay, you know, and it's just not fun to verse Legion. You just have to mend yourself all the time. So I don't think a buff is the solution here. I would rework Legion completely. It needs to be a complete rework because as of it's right now, the Legion's just not fun. He's not good. It's just annoying. So I'm gonna talk about Legion in another vid, I believe, because there's a lot to say about this character. A lot of it that actually speaks about the future of the game. So we're just gonna move on from Legion because I don't want this video to be too much over an hour because oh my god, I've spoken so much. I've talked so much. Oh my god. And the next killer, there's a lot to talk about, so sorry if it's taking a while, but yeah, it's just how it is. I just had a lot to say about this. Let's go into the clown. So you already know who I think the worst killer in the game is. We're gonna reveal him later. We're gonna talk about the clown first. What is there to say about the clown, guys? Why do you think the clown is good? Yeah, clown! Clown basically has a very useless power. Basically, when a clown throws a bottle, if you didn't know, he gets a slowdown. So in order to slow survivors, he slows himself down throwing bottles. Now, sure, it's not as big of a slow as the survivors do, but it's still enough for survivors to be able to vault some windows before you can reach them, or drop pallets before you can reach them. Like, there are a couple loops you can stop, but, bigger loops like a truck loop, the clown can do shit. The clown just, it's not going to help because of the slowdown he gets when he throws a bottle. I don't know why this is a thing, but why does the clown slows himself down when he throws a bottle? It's complete shit. Like, why? Why is this a thing? Uh, also, that's not all. The clown currently has a bug. I don't know. I think you guys will say, well, you don't need to include bugs into a tier list. Sure, but the clown's balls sometimes they explode in his hand, so they don't get thrown. So just lose a ball for no reason. And I don't know if you've seen this bug, but it's a thing. It actually happens. And clown mains really enjoy this freaking bug. Um, and it's been a bug for a while. I don't think the devs are gonna fix it, so I decided to talk about it anyway. Also, the clown is pretty much the worst map pressure in the game. He just moves around and doesn't do anything. He just chase people and try to get them down. If you got it down fast as the clown, you would have gotten it down fast as a Leatherface. That's what I'm trying to say. I think the clown doesn't do anything. His power is not going to help him catch people. Not a lot. Like, if you think it does, it doesn't. Even if you didn't throw the ball, you would have gotten the hit anyway, because the clown is pretty much just a hem1 killer. Now, the biggest counter to the clown is just standing inside a pallet. What is there to do? Like, if you stand in the pallet, the clown can do shit. You just throw the pallet in his face. You can throw a bottle, it doesn't do shit. You're not moving. You're just gonna throw the pallet down. Now you're gonna say, yeah, you stopped the loop. Yeah, now you're gonna have 20 more pallets to break before you can catch them. Great. And if they have a sprint perk, it might be even worse. If they have light, if they have balanced landing, it's gonna be even more horrible. And really, the clown doesn't do anything. It's kind of sad to see. And yeah, the only reason the clown is not the last is because you have Flask of Bleach, which is a green add-on. It kind of saves the clown. So there's a way to save the clown, but it's not, you know, It's still a green add-on. It's kind of rare. But because there's a way to save the clown, that makes him not as bad as the trapper. So the trapper is the worst killer in the game. I've said it. His power hinders him more than it helps. Because as a trapper, if you set up traps, you're gonna waste time. Sure, you're gonna say, well, the hack also has to set up. Sure, but the trapper wastes so much time. He needs to place the trap, which takes longer than the hack, by the way, by half a second. He needs to pick up a trap somewhere on the map, place it somewhere, just trying to get the hit. Um, the trap itself doesn't have a lot of uses. The only thing it does is trapping survivors if they step in them. Now, if you have to step in a trapper's trap, you have to be pretty bad at the game, to be honest, because the hitbox is so freaking small. Most of the time, you can just walk around the trap on the loop, and the trapper, because he has a bigger hitbox, he can't do that. He's gonna step in his own trap and waste even more time doing the very shameful animation. Um, so Trapper is pretty much also like the clown, just an M1 killer, except that he wastes even more time with his power. If you set up as the trapper, you're gonna lose because you're gonna waste like 3 gens or even 4. Or if they have toolboxes, you're gonna waste all of them. You're gonna waste all your freaking all your time, all your gens. They're all gonna get done. So what do? You pick traps when you can. You place them randomly. You cross your fingers it's gonna do something. Like the chance it does something is very small. Like someone gets stuck in a trap, you need to be close to them to pull them off because they're gonna get out really fast. Because 25% chance to get out of a trap, it's kind of a big deal. Trapper doesn't do anything. Like his power is shit. It's so bad. Like you can just walk on the trap, you can disarm the trap, you can sabot the trap, you can dead hard over the trap, which is completely silly. You can have small game to counter the trap. You can have a toolbox to counter the trap. Something else that can happen, and it never happened in my game, but it's still a thing that exists. If you are a survivor trend and someone is looping the shack or somewhere else, and there's a trap, someone can come in a chase, start the disarm animation, have your ally go through the trap because while the trap is in the disarm animation, it doesn't close on the survivor. So someone can just go through it because, and then the survivor can just run away, have the trapper step in his own trap, do the shameful do animation, and then again, you have to chase again. Something else that also happens. A lot of people are just saying, "Oh, just use iridescent stone." Iridescent stone is shit because sometimes it can completely fuck you over. You think the trap is gonna still close, but it opens in your feet and you drop the survivors you have on your shoulder. Bravo! Thank you, iridescent stone. Also, when you pick up a survivor from a trap, the trap just moves around for no fucking reason. So it just throws out the spot, and now even if it opens itself, it's not gonna do shit because the spot is completely ruined. So you need to place it down again. So iridescent stone doesn't even fucking matter. Bloody coil. Oh, bloody coil. There's no saving for the fucking trapper because bloody coil, you can just stay injured at 99% and does on all the traps, doesn't matter. Trapper finds you, self-care, boom, because you had only 1% left, boom, you heal in his face, start the chase, sprint burst away, and loop. The trapper is so bad, he needs bamboozle to actually do something because he can't really trap the windows because it's obvious, so he needs bamboozle them. Um, so he's gonna try. Also, traps need to be in the grass because they're freaking so easy to see. So you need to place them in the grass, which makes them even more obvious and easier to just disarm. The trapper is so bad. It's actually not even hilarious. Like the clown is actually funny to me with the clown because of how bad he is. The trapper is depressing. It's so freaking depressive how bad he is. Like, he plays the trap, it doesn't do anything unless the survivor is stupid enough to just step in it in front of you and doesn't have Dead Hard, because they can just have Dead Hard and you're fucked. And Dead Hard is a meta perk. So good luck finding survivors not running Dead Hard. Like, if they don't run Dead Hard, they probably run, Sprint Burst or Balance Landing, which are the more common sprint perks after Dead Hard. Light is also pretty common, but it's not as big of a deal against the Trapper. That being said, Trapper really has to waste his own time placing traps that probably won't help him. And he wastes time more than the other killers, and there's no saving him. I've talked about pink add-ons, and they don't save him. His best add-ons are the bags, because he has more traps at the beginning. He doesn't have to pick all of them up. So he has more chance to get use out of them, I guess. These are the only good add-ons, but they don't save him. It's not like Flask of Bleach on the Clown, which kind of saves him, quote unquote. It's helping him at least. The Trapper, it's not gonna make his power better. It's still shit. Like, having more shit, it's still shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I'm not saying this because I hate Trapper. No, I'm actually quite objective. I love the Trapper. I play him a lot. He's one of my secondary killers with Freddy. Like, my main is the Hag, and after that it's Freddy and Trapper that I play the most. And Trapper is so bad, it's just a torture to play him. He's so... Like, he plays a trap and you know it's not going to do anything, but you try anyway because what you're gonna do? Like, it's the best thing you can do. And sure, you can try to have someone in the basement and place traps around the basement, but it's freaking obvious, and people are just not going to fall for that shit. Or if they have Dead Hard, you're kind of fucked. If they have Will Make It, you're even more fucked. So it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Also, another thing about the Trappers Bear Traps, I know I'll say a lot of things, but if they have borrow time and they're in the borrow time effect, and they step in a trap, it heals them. I'm not joking, it heals the borrow time. So your traps help the survivors. That's how bad it is. I don't like, there are people in this world that think Trapper is better than Hag because he has the normal movement speed. I don't think we're playing the same game here, because Trapper? Really? Like, there's no saving for the Trapper. I think I've said enough. This is the killer with the most amount of counterplay in the game. It says a lot. And I think I'm gonna end the video right off and right here. I'm gonna try to end on a more positive note though. So let's just ditch the Trapper out of the way. So you guys can just tell me what you think about the list. I personally think I made this list pretty good. It's a lot of work. That's something you guys need to know. Like, for the Huntress to be A+, I had to do a lot of kill your friend, a lot of testing. I had to test pretty much every killer in the game. A lot of gameplay analysis, a lot of strategies I tried to find, especially for Legion, because Legion, has a lot of gameplay right now, and I tried to find something that could save this guy, but as you can see, I kind of didn't. Even people that just claim Legion is top tier, I just don't see it. No. You just, whatever. Hopefully you guys don't backlash me too much for putting Freddy B. I think I've explained enough why Freddy's good, in my opinion. Like, I don't think he's amazing, but he's pretty good. So, yeah, I'm gonna end off the video here. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this list pretty interesting, and hopefully not too long. I know I had to talk a lot, but it just shows that how much I had to do research about this, how much I analyzed, how much stuff I had to say about this. So hopefully you found this informative. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good one.